Hey guys, so you catch me sunburnt as shit after a long day out walking. So please do not judge what I'm wearing because I've literally got home and that's it. I'm fucked. I'm done. But yeah, as you can see, I'm looking red. This is not the video for the project car yet. I'm sorry I've kept you guys waiting. It's not really worth the wait, but it will be soon. But this video is about 10 reasons why and why not to buy a 207 GTI. Peugeot, that is. So for all you guys that don't know me personally or haven't seen the YouTube videos, back in 2018 I owned a 2008 Peugeot 207 GTI 175 THP. It was modified to roughly 270 brake, somewhere around there, and it was great. I converted it into a little van, did a really crummy, horrendous boot build in it, but it was wicked. I've had a 207 GT THP before that, and also a VTI convertible GT, so I've had quite a lot of experience with them. And today I'm going to give you 5 reasons why and why you shouldn't get a 207 GTI, just to help you kind of decide the pros and cons about getting one. Now, one quick thing: if you want to know anything about my car, any of the specs, any of the running gear, what added to it, etc, 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 please give me a message or get into contact with me. I'm more than happy to help you and give you advice with owning a THP. But here are my 5 reasons why you should get one. Reason 1, they're rare. Now, if you look at how many are made, approximately 2,000 to 3,000 are made, so you're thinking, not really very rare, is it? But they're not a very common car. If you go to car meets, you go to events, they're very, very uncommon. So that's a really good reason why, because when you go to meets and events, you're probably going to be the only one there. And if there is another 207 at an event, you're highly likely to be in the GTI, because not many were made. If you get a facelift version, which was from 2009, so 59 reg, up to 60 reg, you're in great luck, because they are incredibly rare, and very few are made before they discontinued the GTI late stage of 2010. I think they did make a couple, 1 or 2 2011s, 2011 regs, but after that, that's it. So it's the uniqueness you get with owning that car that not many people else will have. Okay guys, pro number 2. The handling is just incredible. Like, stock form, okay, not the best. Pretty good through kind of shallow, harsh corners at hard speed, but anything that involves quite a lot of body roll, quite a lot of force at slower speeds, hairpins, roundabouts, a lot of body roll in the stock platform. But get it on a set of coilovers, a cheap set or a really decent set, and my goodness me, will it transform that way that thing drives. They're very, very stiff, and if you know or have driven any previous kind of French hot hatches, Clios, 205s, okay, not to that extent, but the 207 is an incredible handling little hot hatch. Reason 3. When it's working, anything kind of slightly modified over standard and upwards to ridiculous territory, 300 horsepower plus, etc, etc, they are incredible to drive. The turbo kicks in and pretty much fires you through the entire rev range. They're really torquey and they just scream, absolutely scream, till every gear's done. Performance wise, I think for me the best bit about it is the performance is really good, but for me it's the underestimation that everyone has of it and the shock you give to them when you go flying off and they're just like, fair enough. Point number 4, insurance. They are great on insurance. Okay, depends on the individual and the circumstances you're in, but when I was insuring one at the time, at the age of 20, I think I was. So that car versus all the other 1.6 turbos on the market at the time was vastly cheaper to insure. So your comparable Fiesta STs, Vauxhall Corsa VXRs, etc., were also a lot more to insure. So insurance-wise, the 207 GTI is great for a new driver or a young driver. And with prices as they are now, I reckon you could pick one up and insure one for probably about £2,000, £2,500. And that's going with kind of roughly 1,000 to insure and about 1,500 on a car. So they're really, really cheap. And in fact, not only is insurance cheap, just to add to that as well, they're pretty good on fuel as well, depending on how good the engine is, of course, how well it's been looked after, etc. But fuel economy is good for a 1.6 petrol, and insurance is cheap. What more? So, reason 5. They are a highly modifiable platform. The engine itself can run, again don't quote me, but up to 270 to 280 brake on stock internals before you start really pushing it. The gearbox can run 300 plus. The gearbox is designed to be able to survive a nuclear blast. It's amazing. And also you'll find there's a lot of style mods, etc. for the car. All you can think of, from brake kits, from other Peugeot vehicles, to seat upgrades, to body kits, the whole lot. There is so much. So also, you'll never be short of ideas of what you're going to do to it next. Oh no. Uh-oh. Con number 1. Probably the biggest of the lot, in fact. Reliability. Now, one thing, before we go, Peugeot, no, it's actually nothing to do with it being French whatsoever. Shut up. If you ignore the French Peugeot name, the engine, which, if you did not know, was a kind of joint effort between PSA and BMW at the time. It's also used in the Mini Cooper, the DS3, and a few other different models. In different forms, of course. But if you look across the board, they are highly unreliable. Okay, some people can swear on them. Like I said, I've had 2 of the engines, and to be honest, they always require a lot of maintenance. Reliability-wise, mine were kind of okay, but it's all down to luck with it, really. The GTI I had was a high miler. Had to do a full timing chain job on it, which I managed to get done for around about £500 with all genuine Peugeot parts by a very good guy in Scotland. If not, it would have been a Peugeot garage job, looking at £800 plus. So, as well as the French electrical gremlins that I used to get, which didn't really cause any massive issues, reliability is definitely a problem with that THP engine across all of the variants of cars. To go along with that, I'm going to give you 3 examples of problems to look for, especially if you're going to get a THP or if you currently own one. First of all, like I mentioned, look at the timing chain history. If it hasn't been done, then it probably needs doing. Look for signs on cold start of knocking. Look for any kind of code you get up, especially P2191, I think. It's definitely not a good one to get. As well as, as well as the dreaded limp mode and poor running of the car. But the main one is cold starts. Listen to that knock, kind of left-hand side of the engine bay. 2, if your GTI or THP engine feels like it's lagging, so you kind of get to a point where you're pulling off well, but through the kind of mid-range to upper range, it just doesn't it just flattens. Normally, not always, but normally your inlets are blocked. The inlets want to be done around every 30,000 miles, and that's because of the oil being taken out of the crankcase, sent up through the inlet into the inlets and blocking them up. So they get full of carbon, full of crud, which can reduce almost 20% BHP from whatever you're running with your vehicle. So if it's running a bit slow, bit sluggish, it probably needs the inlets doing. They're quite similar to do. You need someone with a walnut blouse service to sort it out for you, but it's very easy to do by taking it apart and just looking inside the inlets to see the state of them. Lastly, well, I always found, okay, depends on each individual, coilovers, stock coilovers, spark plugs, and coil packs. It's been a long day. So, as you do any car, keep a check-up on spark plugs and coil packs. They absolutely eat spark plugs if you have it mapped or you're running any kind of decent power from them. I'm talking like mine lasted about every 8,000 miles. I commonly had coil pack failures throughout the year as well, kind of individuals going. They're about 25 a pop, which is rubbish. So that's another thing to keep an eye on. There's many other things with THP, like the high pressure fuel pump, turbo feeds, and so much more. But again, feel free to contact me and I can run you through any problem. Problem 2. It's a Peugeot. And as I would know, with owning Peugeots, everyone hates them. So, you're always going to be the one that everyone's going to laugh at. Always the one everyone's going to crack the, haha, your car's French, haha, all that crap with. So, it's the rep you get. Yeah, it's not the best. But I think that's kind of with owning any kind of car brand that's frowned upon. So, unfortunately, if you do buy a 207, you're not going to be unpopular, but there's just not going to be the interest there that you'd get with, say, an Audi, a Ford, or any of those common cars that most people drive. Another one that follows with that quite quickly is the common Muck 207s. And to be honest, it's not really very hard to distinguish the difference between models, but the GTI doesn't really look much different from the rest. Small things like if you're lucky enough to get the pack kit with a body kit on, slightly different exhaust, a little spoiler, it just looks so common. So as long as you can spend the time and effort to modify a car to how you like, to be honest, you're just going to blend in with everyone else. Number 4. And this one's a fucking whore. Maintenance. Oh man, maintenance. If you map or increase the BHP of these cars, no matter what you do, maintenance becomes a common thing. They drink oil like a train. I found I was filling mine up at least once a month, if not twice a month, depending on how far I was going. If you look online, it's got there's an insane ratio of how much oil per miles. It's like ridiculous. Like they just drink oil like mad. So you're going to be doing a lot of services. Like I said, spark plugs and core packs are probably going to be on there as well, unless you're quite lucky. And general maintenance on these engines, just parts failing and things here and there, you'll know can be quite costly. So they're just another one that isn't going to be the cheapest to maintain. Also, to say one more thing, a lot of the parts you'll find are BMW parts, so that also comes at a cost. Some of the cost of parts for the 207 high pressure fuel pump, as an example, 500 quid new, it's insanely priced. So at times, although it's a Peugeot, prices can be. And the last thing, which is kind of some of the stuff I previously mentioned, is the rep of the 207 GTI. So you'll find that a lot of people, general people, but also Peugeot fanboys, will find that anything kind of after the 205 they consider to be pretty shit. So you'll find with kind of Peugeot-based events and so forth that basically just 207 is just not a popular vehicle. And you're always going to have that one snobby person, 205 or a 106, or maybe even the newer 208s that are just going to make you feel like trash. So yeah, that's my 5 pros and cons. I would say it's an experience. Would I have a THP engine again? Probably not. I'm looking at the R, which is the 3rd generation of the THP engine. The 1st generation was in the 207 GTI. Potentially, but it was a great experience. I loved the uniqueness of the car. I loved the way it drove. I loved that it shocked every single person that came out with me. And it surprised everyone I kept up with. Also, the THP engines, I forgot to say, sound insane. So they're not all bad, not all good. But in my impartial opinion, go for it. But just be prepared that if you're not lucky, you could get a lemon. But you can get that with any car. So I would go for it. If you're young and want something a little bit fast, want to be different, go and get a 207 GTI.